If I could take the opportunity to introduce Dante and Lola Cargill. Dante is the founder of Patricia Ann Cargill Charities, and they have been feeding families across the city of Akron for years. And when I heard Dante's story, when we had an opportunity to sit down and have a conversation, I believed that this was a story that needed to be heard broader across Summit County. So Dante, Mrs. Cargill, I'll give you the floor.
Thank you, Brandon. And thank you to this council for having us here and listening to what we do. I think it's very important that when you have passion that comes together with fulfilling a need in the community, incredible things happen. I'm pretty sure that's why most of you are here right now, maybe all of you are here right now, because you have passion for what you do and you really are concerned about change in the community, and so you're here to make those changes, and so are we in a different way. For me, it started when I was, a few years ago, I lost my mother to starvation, and that really did something to me, being a teenager growing up in the city of Akron and kind of going through these circumstances with watching my mother slowly pass away within 2 years after losing her stomach to cancer. And what she did during that time in feeding people with really her own means, and that wasn't very much, and that was taking food from our own pantry and out of our house to take to people who were food insecure in the community, really was the staple that taught me that you don't need much to care about people. You just need a willing heart and a little compassion. And so that's what we do every single week, my wife and I. Right now, we're feeding over 1,000 families per month. Within 3 years, I remember our first distribution, we fed about 65 families, and that slowly turned into what it is now and continuing to grow. But we've discovered some things in this journey that we're changing lives. We're effectively affecting people's lives in a positive way, and we see the results of that every week. So I wanted to share a couple things with this body here and that we're seeing and that could really be a benefit to the community. In communities throughout Summit County, some children walk into school on Monday carrying more than just their backpacks. Sometimes it looks like an outburst, a child labeled disruptive or difficult. Other times it's a child who is withdrawn, present, but not fully there. And often what's underneath those behaviors is something we don't see immediately. They're hungry. Pediatric food insecurity impacts nearly every part of a child's life. It affects physical health, cognitive development, and emotional well-being, often showing up as anxiety, aggression, or difficulty focusing. These children are also disproportionately affected by chronic conditions like diabetes, depression, asthma, and ADHD. In school, we see declining grades, low participation, and disengagement. At home, it can strain relationships, creating conflict and emotional distance. I've seen this firsthand as executive director of Patricia Ann Cargill Charities. There are students repeatedly flagged for behavioral issues, but when we looked closer, the root cause was simple. There wasn't consistent access to food. Once that need was met, everything changed. These are not isolated cases. It's patterns seen time and time again. At Patricia Ann Cargill Charities, we address immediate needs through weekly food distributions, providing fresh, nutritious food, often missing from the diets of food insecure children. But we've learned that access alone isn't enough. Children develop their core values between the ages of 4 and 11. So we've introduced a children's book program as an early intervention education platform, using storytelling to build empathy, decision-making, and healthy habits. When we combine food access with storytelling, we combat stigma. Using storytelling covering food insecurity helps normalize the conversation around food access, reducing shame for children. Educating children on nutrition through narratives helps them make better choices, while lessons in kindness encourage peer support, such as sharing. Stories help children see themselves in the experience, while trusted adults, like all of you here, teachers, volunteers, parents, and community leaders serve as real-life role models and help reinforce those lessons through real-life action. Children then put those lessons into action by participating in our Heart Helpers program through Patricia Ann Cargill Charities. They move from learning to doing, building positive habits early. Understand, this is not just about food. It's about recognizing the need sooner, responding earlier, and creating systems that support the whole child so they can show up healthy, engaged, and fully present. With the support of members of this council, we can create transformative and lasting change. Thank you for your time today. I'll take any questions.
So before council takes questions, I just want to say he's being humble. Like how old is your son?
He's 11.
11. He and his 11-year-old wrote a book together to talk about philanthropy.
That's right.
For young people, for kids, to help them understand that it isn't always about giving money. It could be giving time. It could be giving of yourself and your resources and your knowledge. He wrote a book about it, and he and his son want to make sure that that book gets out into the community. So I just wanted to make sure that this body understood that there are folks out there in Summit County that are working on things like this, that are trying to make sure that our kids understand how to give, even if they don't have money to give, that they understand how to give and what it means to be empathetic and thoughtful and loving and leaning forward with their hearts. So thank you for the work that you guys are doing in feeding Summit County, but also thank you for the book that you and your son, what's his name? Let's put it on the record.
Carter Cargill.
Carter Cargill. Let's put it on the record.
It was inspired by his work that he does. All of our children are active at the charity, so every week they're showing up. We have some Ohio State girls that are at Ohio State, and they'll come up every break, and they're giving out, and they're helping people, and they're assisting. But Carter, it's funny. He has school, and he's like, "Hey, Dad, can I stay home from school and go help at the pantry?" Like, son, no, you have to go to school, but I promise you in the summer, you're going to be there more often. And so that led to the inspiration behind the book. Because when we empower kids and show them that they can use their philanthropy, and it doesn't take money, it doesn't take a degree, it doesn't take education, it takes a willing heart. And so there are many things that kids can do if they use their kindness, if they're empowered by trusted adults, that can change the world around them, at home, at school, at their friend's house, and everywhere they go. So we must empower the next generation because they are the future leaders who will be sitting in these chairs that you're sitting in right now.
I'll open it, I guess, questions.
Thank you for stepping in where there's a real need.
Absolutely.
I love how you incorporate the stories and normalize people coming in to meet those needs, especially children. Where are you located?
We're on 1823 Manchester Road, so we have one location in Akron. I will say, from that location, we serve over 80 zip codes in Summit County. And with this program, we'll be able to expand, and our goal is to reach every single elementary school in Summit County. There's 99 public schools representing over 42,000 students. So our belief is that if we can reach the K through 5, which everything is catered towards K through 5, teaching them the philanthropy, but also tapping into our older students in high school to come down and help teach. So we're fully engaged with both the elementary school students and the high school students, because those are the students that they look up to. Their older brothers and sisters and friends. And so this way we engage all students. This year we had the privilege of being part of the CCAA program through Akron Public Schools. And we were the only partner, I just learned this at our last school who came out, middle school, 7th graders. We're the only partner who has actively had an opportunity for every single middle school in the city of Akron to come out and have a volunteer experience. And when I tell you these kids had a ball, they had a blast, they helped stock shelves and vegetables, and I teach leadership and teamwork. So these kids were just blown away, and they're always like, hey, can we come back? We come back. And so it's a really great program. And again, it's about the children. It's about the next generation. So, but with the help of this council, we can reach the entirety of Summit County and push that message to children. It's not just about children. It's about parents and grandparents and leaders, because we all have a part to play in helping the next generation. So as well as for children, it's also a good parenting book. At home, kid or parents can use these stories for teaching kindness and empathy, family service projects, and those sorts of things. It is also a way for us to teach anti-bullying in school, because that's a huge initiative, right? So food insecure students are more likely to both bully and be bullied. You know, there was a global study done that showed that 37% of food insecure students had higher odds of bullying victimization. So this is something that's very holistic, and it speaks to the entirety of the child.
Thank you for coming out. So like up in the school where Nordonia schools where I'm located at, we have a program called Baskets of Hope. And you learn through the years that the aides that work in the school cafeteria, we make sure that that's funded and nobody knows. So when that child goes in that line, because of those insecurities, they're embarrassed.
Yep.
And so we make sure that no child is going to get peanut butter and jelly. And, other kids start bullying kids because they could see, like, oh, if somebody got peanut butter and jelly today, they don't have any money. And it's a big thing in all these schools. And I'm just saying what we do up in Nordonia area. And then also we find out, like through Baskets of Hope, the families that need help. And, we turn them, they get in contact with the emergency assistance there in Nordonia and also in Twinsburg. But I want to say thank you. But it is a big issue, and you really don't think about it. But, that food insecurity, it does exist, and the bullying, and kids don't come forward because they're ashamed, and they don't know how to come forward, and they don't want their friends to know that they didn't get breakfast that morning. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I'm speaking of a place from lived experience myself, so I know what it's like to be food insecure. Coming from a poverty-stricken household, again, I talk about my mother because she is the inspiration behind what we do, and that's the reason why we named it after her. Patricia Ann Cargill Charities is to honor her legacy and what she tried to do in the community. Unfortunately, her body gave out and she just kind of fell short. And so by doing this, we've discovered the pediatric insecurity and the bullying, and there's a lot to go with that. But my big thing is those kids who are doing the bullying, I think this program will speak to that portion of it as well through our character development. So there's many facets that go. I don't have a lot of time to speak here today about, but I'd love to have a deeper conversation with anyone in this room who's interested in, and I think that probably will be all of us who are interested in the next generation of our leaders of this country, of this county, of this state, of this city, your prospective cities and districts.
Could you share with our clerk your information so we can have that research for our community?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you as well, and what a beautiful legacy and tribute to your mother. I'm sure she would be very proud. And as a mother of 4 kids myself, I would be interested in information about what you're doing for kids volunteering, and I want your book. So if you can give your information to Mark, that would be great. I'm sure we'd all appreciate it. Thank you, and thank you
Thank
for the
you.
work you're doing in our community.
Dante, I too want to offer my congratulations. I serve the other side of the social problem, and that's homelessness with Family Promise. And what you're doing is hypercritical. Before you leave, I want to give you my card because I want to share with you a program that we're trying to get started here in Akron. It's a ward affiliate fund. It's a fund that will help each of the wards do things like you're doing and help create a funding source for that. So I'd love to share that with you. And the fact that you mentioned that your son and you teach the philanthropy side of it, that's very much a part of what we're trying to create, is to show the importance of philanthropy and what that means in a community. I've always said personally there's 4 branches of government: judicial, legislative, administrative, but the 4th branch is philanthropy. And without it, I don't know how any community can survive. So very much would like to share that with you. And in the audience with us tonight is Nathan Briggs. Nathan is the executive director of the Alzheimer's Association, but he's also the architect of an initiative that we're trying to get started for nonprofits so that we can share this information just like you're sharing, so that each of us know here's who you pick up the phone and call. To be able to pull together resources for the nonprofits, looking at how do we help them fund their back office expenses while giving them the resources to go forward and do what they're doing. So we very much would like to have you in on that conversation as well, because you bring a great perspective. The food insecurity piece of this whole process is hyper huge for what we're doing. So thank you and your wife and your team for your great work. So before you leave, I want to give you my card.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you to the Cargills and to the Patricia Ann Cargill charities for coming out and speaking to us. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
With that, I'll call the Committee of the Whole to order, and I'll request a motion to go into executive session pursuant to ORC Section 121.22G8A to discuss potential economic development assistance between the county and the city of Cuyahoga Falls.
So moved.
I have a motion. All those in favor? Aye. Oh, sorry, roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Hyam?
Aye.
Mr. Donofrio? Mr. Cajun?
I'll abstain, and I will be leaving prior to the executive session.
Ms. Dickinson?
Here.
Mr. Ford?
Aye.
Mr. Wilhite? Ms. Darrell?
Yes.
Mr. Lacotte?
Aye.
Ms. McKinney?
Aye.
Ms. Walters?
Aye.